Hello, welcome y bienvenidos to another episode of AARP's In Vivo Contigo series. Today we bring you sights and sounds of heritage, Bomba. My name is Yvette Martinez, and I'm the Associate State Director for AARP's South Florida office. So we're going to learn and enjoy the rich and historic cultural tradition of an ancestral Puerto Rican music genre called Bomba. We will hear from special guests from across the U.S., including New York, Florida, and the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, mi isla del encanto. But before we dive into our exploration of Bomba, I want to share some information with you about AARP. AARP is a social mission organization with a focus on areas of personal enrichment, advocacy, financial security, and health. We have an office in every state in the U.S. mainland, including Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. During this presentation, you'll get to meet some of my most favorite colleagues: Associate State Director of Community Outreach in New York, Maggie Castro, Interim Manager of State Operations, Ingrid Collins, and Associate State Director of Communications in Puerto Rico, Pablo Revin. In this presentation, this amazing AARP team will lead you through discussions with Bomba specialists who practice, perform, and instruct others about the experience and the impact of Bomba. You will also get tips on how incorporating music into our lifestyles promotes healthy aging, mental well-being, and social connection. Who knew listening to musical activities could have such a healthy impact on maintaining our brain health? And all while doing something we truly enjoy. I invite you to learn more about AARP and healthy brain activities by visiting aarp.org/brain health. Now, without further delay, let's enjoy, vamos a disfrutar, sights and sounds of heritage, Bomba.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Nieves Huffman, and welcome to AARP's En Vivo Contigo Sights and Sounds Bomba. I got a chance to get an advanced screening of this documentary, and you guys, wow. I was blown away with the way that it not only educated but entertained. I found myself dancing in my seat while watching the documentary. And both as a mom and a daughter, there were so many moments that resonated with me. As the mom of two teenagers who are both Black and Puerto Rican, it truly deepened my pride for the African influence in Puerto Rican culture, music, and dance. I'll never forget how, when my husband and I were going to get married, our wedding rehearsal dinner, we actually had some dance lessons and talked about the history of African influence in dance in the Caribbean. So that way, on the next day, on the wedding day, nobody would miss a beat. And as a daughter who shares in the caretaking responsibility for my 81-year-old mother, it helped me connect so many dots as to the why in Latin and specifically Puerto Rican culture, we really truly respect and honor and take care of our elders. I really hope that you enjoy watching this documentary as much as I did, because it truly celebrates the legacy of Bomba. You get to see the people and the leaders behind the movement of keeping this tradition and this legacy of Bomba alive. They're truly carrying that legacy to future generations.
Oh, hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are you?
I am so good. I'm so happy to be here. I've been looking forward to talking to you. I've heard so much about your school. And so I just want to learn more about what it is that you teach. Talk to me about your school.
Well, my name is Barbara Liz Ortiz Sanchez. I am the seventh generation of uninterrupted Cepeda lineage, and my two children would be the eighth generation, and we are so proud to continue the legacy that my great grandfather Rafael Cepeda Atiles has installed in us. He's the known as the patriarch of Bomba and Blena. He received many awards from the Ronald Reagan. President Ronald Reagan gave him an award, the National Endowment for the Arts Award. And we also are very proud to continue his legacy because one of the things that he said is that he wanted Bomba to be heard and danced everywhere in the world. And it's an honor, a privilege, and at the same time, a responsibility to continue that legacy. And right now, I'm in Florida, so it's a little bit of a challenge at the same time as an honor because there's so many Puerto Ricans here that this is called like municipio número 78 de Puerto Rico. And it's another part of the island. There's so many Floridians that came after Hurricane Maria. We have a family with us that came after the hurricane hit and they stayed with us. It's a family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 girls. And it so happens to be that they were part of my uncle's school in Puerto Rico.
Really?
So when they came over here, they continued with us.
Yes.
And the dad is drumming, the mom is singing, the 2 girls are dancing. It's a family event, it's a family culture. We are so proud because for me, I'm continuing my great grandfather's legacy. And I cannot be more honored to continue to do that. It's like I said, a responsibility that you have on your shoulders because it's respect. We have to show respect to the legacy, to our ancestors, and to the meaning of bomba.
Why don't you start off telling us, in your words, what are the historical origins of bomba? What is its meaning?
Well, yeah, those historic. When we look at it, we have to first understand that that bomba came to Puerto Rico on the island during the transatlantic slave trade, and so the evolution of slavery on the island of Puerto Rico is also part of how bomba comes to the island, and so yeah. So first, in its origin, this music is Afro rooted, and so I think that we have to really understand that during the time before they abolished slavery, bomba was really just played by blacks, um, and so what we're getting today and how it's here today, that's another story. But we got to say that bomba is the music that they brought to them that that's all they had in reference to their memories, um, their life before they came to the island. And so now here in Puerto Rico, bomba, it becomes that culture, part of our identity of the island. I think that there is no template, really formula to say this is what bomba is. When bomba, even today, as we're talking, we're still having, we're still thinking about our identity. We're still trying to find out who we are. And so, defining that, I think through bomba, we are learning more about who we are through this experience of the drum.
Black music along with anything that's historical or culturally rooted in Africa was denigrated. It was not seen as something that was to be celebrated or honored or amplified or elevated in any sort of way. Why? Is because if you're going to enslave people, you're going to try to make them feel like they're less human.
Break
So
the spirit.
yes, so that their culture is inferior, their hair is inferior, their way of living is inferior, and their music is inferior.
You mentioned something once before, and I want to go back to that because I thought it was so poignant. It was so important about the barrel drum, right? When the slaves came and how they had nothing, they came with nothing. Can you tap on that a little bit?
So it's often said that Africans who were taken from the continent over to the Americas came with nothing. And while physically that might be true, they came with all of their sense of self, their awareness, the ways of living, the ways of relating to each other. And so they did come with their heart. what was inside of them. All of that, many times was transmitted to the bomba drum, to the way they cooked, to the way they related to each other and took care of each other in very difficult circumstances. And so for us, the bomba is a reflection of not only that they used what they saw. So this was like a barrel that was used to transport goods, mostly sugar, rum, molasses, over to Europe. So they took the discarded drums, put a goat skin on it, because we don't waste anything. We have to make sure that like all parts of the animal are used. So
Resourcefulness, that's right.
that we have the goat skin. And at that time, ropes were used to fasten and also tune the drums. And now we use hardware. But I think it's an incredible testament that 300 years later or more, or over 300 years, that this stands the test of time, because what's real is forever. Yeah, I'm feeling it right now too. It's just I'll say also that over a year ago, my family did our genealogy, and we did find that the ancestor that was taken to from Africa. And I'm getting a little emotional because it's real for me. It's very real that that ancestor was taken. His name was changed, his identity, like all parts of him, his language. We found out that also by the end of his life, he was freed. So, he was able to live, you know, a good part of his life as a freed man. And so these things become very real for us, and more important to uncover and delve into. Um, and again, because it's what's real, what's true is forever. It lasts. It may transform itself, and that's what energy does. But the communication that the drum provides us with, the dance, the sense of transformation, the release that it's that will continue on, and we just feel grateful that we're part of that we can share that, whether it's in New York City or the diaspora in Puerto Rico, that we're connected and we maintain connected. After Hurricane Maria, what was the first image we saw was people playing bomba in Blena, because you didn't have to plug it in. You didn't need electricity. This is powered by people.
So, going back to that first question, what is bomba? Bomba is life.
Ay, alegría de la bomba cuando baila de baque. Alegría me da la rica bomba, alegría bomba,
When you think about slavery and those people that were enslaved and taken out from Africa, they're taken into ships. Those ships don't get to Puerto Rico in a month. They don't get to Puerto Rico in a week.
Right.
They had to make stops in order to get food, to get whatever they needed. So in every single one of those places where they stopped to get whatever they needed, they traded slaves. So you're switching also cultures. You're bringing other cultures from wherever they stopped. By the time they go to Puerto Rico, all of those mixtures is what, and when they mix with Puerto Ricans, whoever was there in the island at that moment, it could be the Indio Tainos. That's where Puerto Ricans are built. So we need to talk about the history so that people can understand what it means in order for you to start dancing and portray what it entails. So it's not just about dancing, it's not just about putting on a skirt and dancing and shaking your body or shaking the skirt. It has a meaning. So if you are portraying what the feelings that the ancestors were feeling, you cannot be smiling. We tend to not smile because we also have to focus on the lyric of the song that is being sang. And most of the songs in Juba are very subtle and they are telling a story. And most of the time, they're telling a sad story. For example, a la línea no voy, mama. A la línea no voy, papá. A la línea no voy, mamá. Que yo soy mucho y me quieren pegar. So it's talking that I don't want to go to that line because there are a lot of people and they just want to hit me.
Slavery.
Slavery. So it goes back to our ancestors. So we have to take that, we have to bring that inside our body and portray what the song and the rhythm is saying at the same time.
Right.
And those are the things that's where we start, the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. It's very important to teach the history, to teach the rhythms, the different rhythms in bomba. It's very important to also teach the instruments that we have. It's not just singing in bomba. Yes, you can say, oh, I just want to sing. Okay, but then you need to make sure that you know the tonality that you have in bomba. Mm-hmm. It's not, oh, I just want to play the maraca or play the drums. Whoever, one of my students, if they want to play the drums, yes, but you still have to know the history. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter which part of bomba, which element you want to focus on, we still teach the history because it's very important.
Lo que es la bomba es una música afropuertorriqueña, afrolatina, y yo creo que personas de todas las nacionalidades, incluso latinos de todos tipos, o sea, como tú dices, se les mete eso en la sangre, se le mete por los pies, le mete en el espíritu, oye, se lo gozan y lo bailan, y eso, ¿verdad?, nos conecta.
Hay una necesidad de tener un acercamiento con nuestras tradiciones, ¿verdad? En la medida que yo estoy fuera del archipiélago puertorriqueño, yo necesito tener esos elementos que me definen como persona puertorriqueña. Así que eso ha contribuido a una expansión increíble. Por eso vemos que hay prácticas culturales, especialmente, no solamente bomba, Blena también, en Hawái, en Nueva York,
en Uruguay,
en California. Sí, no, en Uruguay hay el movimiento de Blena, ¿verdad? Que lo han acogido grandemente. Pero en Estados Unidos hay unas comunidades enormes, ¿verdad? En California, en Florida, en Colorado, en New Jersey, que han realizado no solamente la dinámica de reconocer nuestros géneros, también han creado estructuras para mantener vivas las tradiciones, para dar clases, para transmitir esa dinámica que es tan necesaria porque retoma esa nostalgia que tenemos al estar fuera del territorio. Yo creo que dentro de ese poder que tienen nuestras tradiciones, tenemos que reafirmar nuestra historia, reafirmar nuestras prácticas culturales y fomentar la educación. Yo creo que la educación juega un papel fundamental a la hora de nosotros reconocer los elementos que nos han forjado como pueblo y cómo esto sirve para crear una mejor sociedad.
Our ancestors, they were enslaved. They suffered a lot. And they paved the way for us to be here. We don't have to go back to that. We need to continue to open doors for us, for the people that look like us. Because I'm Puerto Rican and you can see me, my skin is white. But inside, I'm all black, pure black. Pure black. Because, yeah, I'm proud of it. Yes. And you look at my hair. You know, yo no tengo el pelo lacio. Y no que cuando tengo el pelo lacio es malo. You know, we just need to embrace every single type of hair, every single type of skin color. We're humans. Everybody's human and nobody's better than another.
Amén.
Amén.
when we traveled to the Bomba Research Conference in September. One of the places we went to was Ponce, and a man stood up and said this. In the age that we were talking about, and Jose, like the 20s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, you had to be atrevido, and he used that word. You had to be atrevido to keep this culture, to keep this African rooted culture, that it wasn't okay in public spaces. Cops would come and confiscate drums, damage drums. You would go to prison. And so prison records were important in finding who were bomberos.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that people fought to continue. They fought even their families. That was not accepted. Don't do that. Don't bring that out into the public. But if they didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Había muchas ocasiones en que en otras partes de Puerto Rico, they didn't do bomba anymore. So the bomba stayed in Santurce. And the ones who did it in Santurce was my great grandfather. And he welcomed everybody from the neighborhood. He didn't want people to get lost in drugs or any bad habits. So if he would see, and this is my mom telling me, he would see somebody that was going into the wrong direction, he would say, hey, come over here. We have this group, this bomba group. You want to play the drums, you want to sing, you want to dance, and he would reel them in and take the kids off the streets. And that is another reason why we keep and continue doing bomba. We need to capture every single one person that we can.
So you mentioned bomba, you mentioned Blena. Talk to us about the difference, right? Because sometimes those words are used interchangeably, but they're not, right?
Yes.
It's not the same thing. So talk to us about the difference.
There's many people that think that bomba y Blena is name and last name. And that is
Right.
that is not the
Not
case.
the same thing.
Bomba is one thing, is one genre. Plena is another genre. Bomba is played with the drums, the maraca, the cuas. You have the singer and the dancers. In plena, you play with panderos de plena or panderetas. It's not the same instruments.
Okay.
The tonality is not the same. The rhythms are not the same either. When you have dancers, they don't wear the same attire or the same costumes. The costumes in plena are short dresses or short skirts. In bomba, they're longer. In both of them, yes, you have enaguas for the girls, and it's not the same basic steps. So
Enaguas are the slips.
Yes, yes, and the petticoats.
Yes.
Underneath.
Okay.
So it's very different. So we have to move away from saying bomba y plena and thinking is the same thing, because it's not.
It's not.
Bomba is one genre, plena is another. So there's a movement right now where people are starting to say plena y bomba, so that we can start moving away from thinking it's the same thing.
I should be taking notes. You guys are schooling and educating me so much. And Melinda, thanks to you, there was something that you also educated me on. And it was about, when we're talking about the different types of the dances and the music, there is bomba and there is plena. And oftentimes people combine the two. And you schooled me on that and told me that there is a difference. So why don't you tell everyone else, what are the differences between bomba and plena?
Sure. I think the easiest difference is the music and instrumentation. And now, since he's called Dr. Drum, I'll let him talk a little bit more about the music and instrumentation, because those are the more clear markers of the difference of bomba and plena.
So Jose, tell us a little bit about the instrumentation. The differences, the different instruments that are used with bomba and with plena.
Thank you for the question. I think it's very important to understand the most fundamental, the most basic part of these two different genres. And I think is very key to just saying, "Oh, I'm listening to Bomba and this is Blena," because we keep hearing that, "Oh, Bomba y Blena," and you can see that when you go into those details, they think it's the same. So let's just go with the visual.
Okay.
Baji, Bomba Drum. This is the Bomba Drum, and and we're gonna let Melinda talk a little bit more about the barrel drum, right? But just for now, this is a plena drum, un pandereta, pandero, right? Two different drums, completely different styles.
That's interesting. I didn't see that as a drum. I did not see that as a drum, but that's interesting.
Okay. And understandably so, because when people see this, they think it's a tambourine.
That's what I thought. That's exactly.
Right. The tambourines, though, are the actual symbols that are on the side of the drums, right? That's what makes it a tambourine. What makes this a pandereta, un pandero? It doesn't have those symbols, right? And it's also it's the like when you listen to Blena, it just has this distinct sound, and it's this one rhythm, and hundreds of songs are played over that one rhythm, so you can hear the Blena, right? And actually, we're gonna let Melinda play one of the parts of the Blena so you can hear it, right? You're gonna hear that, and one of the panderos will do something like this, right? Right? We're gonna let Melinda do that, right? And watch what happens. Dale, Melinda.
Oh, no.
So when you hear that, wow, all of a sudden, we got Blena. And this is Blena.
I know everybody's bopping their head like I'm doing this, right?
Right. You can't help but bop your head, right? And then, you got songs like, you may have like say, if you notice, I sang two different songs, but the same beat.
Got it.
Right? When you add the guido, right, and the requinto, that's Blena. That's not bomba. That's Blena.
Jose, for people who don't know what guido is, just show on camera what the guido is.
All right.
You're getting him happy and excited.
Excited,
It's a whole room full of them.
Now, okay, this instrument, again, everybody wants to be the drummer, everybody wants to play the bass or, blow that horn. But where is that guido player? Where is that guy with the guido? We always need a guido player. And this, I'll tell you, this instrument is undermined. It's undervalued. It is so key to the Blena music. I mean, and it had that distinct sound. And that sound is part of the Blena. So when we're listening to Blena, please, if there's no guido in there, something is missing, right? So this gourd is important.
Right? And it's a gourd. It's a fruit. Actually, it grows on a tree, just like this, and is picked, dried out, and hollowed out, and then
from the
iguera tree, and then lines are scored into it, and then there's
right, beautiful. So this is part of, and then this is not just music. When we talk about how this, the wheel is part of our identity. When we talk about, let's say, the people that were there before Spain colonized the island, right? When we talk about the instruments from the Taínos. So our music is not just something that you read in a book, or this is the instruction. There is no instructions for that, right? This is who you are, right? So Blena, it's important to know what Blena is because it's part of your identity.
La bomba surge antes de la abolición de la esclavitud.
Ahí era donde queríamos ir. ¿Cuál es el origen de la bomba versus la plena, verdad? Porque la bomba vino antes, me estabas comentando antes de comenzar esto. Cuéntanos un poco de eso.
En el caso de la bomba surge antes de la abolición de la esclavitud, que en Puerto Rico se da en 1873. Por lo tanto, tenemos que se va nutriendo no solamente de personas que llegan a nuestro territorio esclavizadas, que esa es la visión más amplia de la conexión con África, también con personas que estuvieron en el proceso de cimarronaje, de fuga, de resistencia al proceso esclavista y al régimen que se impuso, ¿verdad?, por las distintas potencias europeas. También por personas libres, personas que no fueron esclavizadas, pero que llegan y tenemos el contacto del continente africano. Así que todas esas personas y los coartados, ¿verdad?, los que lograban su libertad, especialmente en las potencias españolas, empiezan a impactarnos. De hecho, muchos de ellos desde el continente africano, que es el lugar donde surge la humanidad. Así que de ahí tenemos varias etnias que nos empiezan a nutrir y esa migración que se va dando en todo el Caribe, y eso es lo que le da forma a la bomba, de manera comunitaria, de manera de respuesta al sistema, ¿verdad?, con resistencia y lucha, y también como una expresión que más adelante se convierte en una bandera de identidad. Ahora, en el caso de la plena surge después de la abolición de la esclavitud. Todas las evidencias señalan que surge después de la abolición, que se empieza a formar con más fuerza ya a principios del siglo XX. Así que son dos géneros que tienen dos realidades históricas distintas. Y es importante porque ambos empiezan a tener gran aceptación, especialmente desde la dinámica de las prácticas afrodescendientes. Así que esa es otra de las razones por las que las personas tienden a pensar que son lo mismo. Pero ambas tienen unos elementos que las distinguen y sobre todo se han convertido en dos expresiones que están describiendo lo que es nuestra puertorriqueñidad a través de sus usanzas.
Oye, Pablo, qué interesante eso que nos estabas comentando de la diferencia de cómo surge la bomba y la plena, pero háblanos un poco para toda la gente buena que nos está escuchando de los instrumentos, la diferencia de los dos ritmos, los bailes, el vestuario. Oriéntanos un poco.
Mira, Pablo, es interesante porque los escenarios de la plena y de la bomba, pues tienen unas características que los distinguen. En el caso de la bomba, vemos que utilizan originalmente tambores, barriles o bombas. Y es importante que estos instrumentos empiezan a confeccionarse en Puerto Rico con unas prácticas particulares que, entre otras, destacan la utilización de barriles de almacenaje para realizar el instrumento. En el caso de la bomba, pues se utilizan estos instrumentos, uno para marcar los pasos de la persona que baila, que realiza un protocolo a la hora de bailar, ¿verdad? Identifica el ritmo que se está ejecutando y entonces a base de esa identificación realiza un paso básico, se desplaza por el área de baile que se conoce como batey o soberao, que en algunos lugares se conocía como tablado porque habían unas tablas o solares. Y finalmente las improvisaciones que hace el bailador o la bailadora, que un tambor que está afinado más agudo, que se llama primo o subidor, los marca simultáneamente al momento que la persona realiza el movimiento. Es que el que toca ese tambor primo o subidor debe conocer cabalmente el idioma de la bomba. Y hay otros tambores, los demás se conocen como buleadores, y los buleadores lo que hacen es que mantienen el ritmo constante, así que hacen esa base rítmica sumado a unos palos que se llaman cuá, un par de palos que se tocaban en el costado del tambor. En algunas regiones se tocaba uno solo, y la maraca, que es una sola, hecha de higuera, y todo eso pues se utiliza para realizar los distintos ritmos de bomba, que ya eso ha sido algo que se ha propagado por las distintas regiones donde originalmente se da la bomba, y actualmente pues lo vemos en todo Puerto Rico y en la diáspora puertorriqueña. Así que ahí vemos ritmos como el sicá, el yubá, el holandés, el cuembé, el seis corrido, el gracimá, el oyomula, el belén, entre muchos otros.
So it's a very choreographed mixture of the dance, the music, the rhythm, and all of these pieces and parts. And how do you teach that? Where do you start? I mean, you're teaching your children, but you have all these students, and we're in a community right now where you have students waiting for you. We're hearing these drums. It's intoxicating, right? You have all we want to go dance
Yes,
right now, and I'm holding you from it. But I love that you have that passion, and that you have this generational, you have that responsibility, and you can tell that you take that so seriously.
Yes.
So how do you impart that to people when you have these students who are hearing it for the first time, and you have to kind of impart that respect, certainly to your children, but just to a student who wants to take the class? Where do you start?
We start by talking about history. We cannot love bomba and we cannot dance it if we don't know the history, if we don't know what it means. I'm a teacher and I still learn. I've been dancing bomba since I was 4 years old, and I keep on learning, because every time that I go to Puerto Rico, we have family meetings, we unite, and we talk about, my great-grandfather left more than 100 notebooks, composition notebooks.
Wow.
He's the only elder that is known in Puerto Rico or in the world to have more than 100 notebooks with history, with so many detailed activities that happen in Puerto Rico in many different places. I'm talking about Guayama, talking about Ponce, talking about Mayagüez, talking about Villa Palmera, Santurce, San Juan. Mm-hmm. Nobody that we know of has ever done that. And our family has that treasure.
What brought you to this, right? What was the interest? What was the draw for you to do bomba?
I was pretty active in a lot of social justice movements. So I found myself in a lot of community spaces, and younger people playing bomba, and I there was a woman giving a class, and I just grabbed onto that this was in El Barrio in New York, in Manhattan. And I first learned without the skirt. Bomba, a lot of the cultural dresses that we commonly think of as dancers using skirts. I learned first without the skirt by a woman named Alessandra Basayo, from Cataño, but it was in El Barrio that I learned it. And for me, I always considered a gateway to learning about Puerto Rican history and culture. That's not something that was taught in schools, or family knew kind of bits and pieces. You had to have access to books, and most of the time they were not like they were more academic leaning books. So this was like, oh, this is a way for me in the diaspora to connect back to Puerto Rico, And now it's like for Puerto Rico, this bridge, right? That doesn't just go one way back to Puerto Rico, but it's now like a cyclical, so the diaspora sometimes influences Puerto Rico and vice versa. So a way for me to connect with younger family members and teach them what I know, or community spaces, and go into communities that really felt that we needed. We needed to be part of that community, and they needed for us to engage in that way. So for us, it was about like claiming our cultural identity and amplifying it. Also, really delving into the African connection that um, not a lot of people knew enough about.
Without the elders, let's say, I would not have even gotten to the point where I'm at today, right? So, you know, they played a big role in making it possible for the next generation to hear the music. Now, how we take it on today, it's on a whole different level. It's part of our, it gives us affirmation to our identity. We don't come to Bomba as musicians, right? There's a lot of us like me that I come to Bomba as reclaiming my identity.
Y precisamente yo he notado a través de los años algo que me llamó mucho la atención de la bomba y también del ambiente de la plena. Se respetan mucho los mayores, la gente que vinieron antes y que saben y que nos enseñan cómo se canta esta música, cómo se toca, cómo se baila, contrario a muchas realidades en el presente donde tal vez se echa a un lado hacia a las personas mayores en lugar, ¿verdad?, de que esto sea un elemento de unión multigeneracional, de conectar a los jóvenes con los próximos y los mayores. Y entonces, pues, en ese contexto, háblanos un poco de eso, de la importancia que tiene la bomba a nivel cultural, pero también de mantener conectadas las generaciones, aportando, ¿verdad? Desde todas las edades.
Pues mira, Pablo, sobre eso te tengo que decir, y esto te lo digo desde el punto de vista de investigador docente. Ahora mismo estamos con un proyecto importante, el proyecto en la UPR de afrodescendencia y racialidad, dando cursos en esa línea. Y ahora mismo yo estoy dando el curso de afroepistemología. ¿Y por qué te digo esto? Es el estudio del pensamiento africano. Pero fíjate que lo digo porque una de las cosas que muchas veces desconocemos es que las tradiciones africanas son muy fuertes. Y en la tradición africana el respeto a los mayores es indispensable, a tal punto que las decisiones que toman las tienen que respetar todos en la comunidad.
Very rich when you have multi-generation students in your school. Like I said before, we have mom, dad, and 2 daughters. We have husband and wife in another family. We have many different ages in our school, and we welcome all of them because everybody, most of the time, because they're here, is because they desire to learn more, and they want to reach out to that little part of Puerto Rico without being in Puerto Rico. So if it's within me to give them that little part of Puerto Rico, I'm all
It's
for
a gift, right? And so you do focus on that intergenerational thing, and I think that's beautiful too, because a lot of times, sometimes in community, we see a lot of efforts to have classes, and it's not always where kids are welcome.
Exactly.
In fact, sometimes not always, let's face it, older adults maybe not welcome. But talk to us about that effort where, all ages welcome.
Yes.
We love that.
Yes.
Where
yes.
I work.
Bomba is for everybody. Bomba, we have many of our students right now and many of the adults in our school that have many problems. They may have anxiety. They may have depression. They may have physical or mental disabilities. And Bomba targets all of them because we focus on the spirit, on the mind, the soul, because we have to go back to our ancestors and what they faced. We have to look at it that way. We have to know everything that they went through in order for us to be here. Mm-hmm. What did they go through? All the punishments, all the latigazos that they had to face, and they were taken from their motherland. And there's a lot of people that don't put one thing with the other. It's very different and very sad that they don't put one thing with, that they don't connect it. And we have to, that's why our main focus is to educate. We have to educate. And if we start from the little kids, that for me is better.
Pero esto también tiene unos beneficios de salud en términos, ¿verdad? De estimular nuestra mente con el asunto del baile, ¿verdad? La música, bailar, ¿verdad? La actividad física. Háblanos un poco de eso, de los beneficios ¿verdad? De la música, de nuestra cultura, de la bomba.
Pues mira, ahora mismo nuestra música es quizás una de esas herramientas que son necesarias para desarrollar distintos ámbitos. La coordinación, la estructura de nuestro físico, el conocimiento histórico, nuestros movimientos, ¿verdad? Ese sistema motor. Así que en el caso de nuestra música, como está vinculada a varias áreas, además de sensibilizarnos como personas, pues atiende la mejoría de nuestro sistema cardiovascular, motor, el pensamiento, la coordinación, activa todos nuestros sentidos. Y fíjate, Pablo, que esto lo hemos visualizado a través del tiempo, a través de todos los proyectos que hemos impulsado buscando pues llegar a las personas, y eso es lo que recogemos de ellas. Para que tengas una idea, nosotros por muchos años hemos trabajado un proyecto que se llama Bomba de Oro, que originalmente lo hicimos con la Procuradora de las Personas de Edad Avanzada, y era llevando bomba a los asilos, a las égidas, a las actividades en general. Y era increíble porque las personas, además de practicar la bomba, nos contaban su historia. Era el momento de nosotros escucharnos, de intercambiar ideas, de conversar. Es algo fundamental. Los mayores son los que tienen esa sabiduría acumulada que nosotros vamos recuperando a través del tiempo. Sin embargo, esto lo aprendemos de las culturas africanas. Las culturas africanas tienen una gran diversidad. Sin embargo, hay un factor en común, es el respeto a los mayores, que en la comunidad son los que toman las últimas decisiones. Y todo el mundo acata esas decisiones. Y a la misma vez, también son los que transmiten esa información porque tienen un bagaje de sabiduría. Y esa sabiduría es muy valiosa, es muy importante, se recopila, se captura, y eso es lo que hemos adquirido en nuestra realidad con la Blena y con la bomba. Y me parece que a pesar de las distintas situaciones que se van dando, ¿verdad? Sincréticas, que se van sumando en este espacio, ¿verdad? Uno no está en un espacio que no es vivo, no está en un espacio muerto, está en un espacio vivo que hace que vengan distintas influencias, pero en el centro está esa herencia africana que es tan importante y que ha sido zapata de nuestra realidad puertorriqueña, caribeña y en toda América. Y yo creo destacar algo, Pablo, que en gran medida el desarrollo de estos géneros se dan por la autogestión, el compromiso que se va dando a través de unas familias, unas personas,
el amor a lo nuestro,
el amor a lo nuestro, ante la clara ausencia en el sistema educativo.
In our family, it was bomba and Blena for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and every single one of the snacks in between. So
and still satisfies.
And yes, and you can't get enough of it.
What does it mean to you that within that history that is in your family, that it comes up. If the word bomba, you talk about bomba y plena comes up, bomba y cepeda comes up. What does that mean to you?
I'm never gonna stop saying it's a responsibility, because
Right.
if he wanted bomba to be played everywhere in the world, we have to do it right. My mom said in one of the asambleas, la bomba is not ours. La bomba no es de la familia Cepeda. La bomba pertains to everybody. Es del pueblo. We just happen to be one of the families who has been able to take it outside of Puerto Rico and within Puerto Rico.
En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba. En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba de verdad. En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba. En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba de verdad. Ahí está como el bombero que le gusta repicar. Voy a formar la bomba con la hacienda Caridad. En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba. En la hacienda Caridad se baila bomba de verdad. Ay, qué bueno era la bomba con la frente de abuela. Cuando se baila la bomba.
So would you say that bomba is something that's practiced more so by an older group, an older generation, younger generation, or would you say that maybe it has helped to kind of mesh the two?
Okay, so let's just say, I would go, for me, I would say that if it wasn't for the younger generation, we would not be doing bomba today.
Really?
Yes. Some of these people that, for example, I didn't grow up with bomba. So let's just say for the first 40 years of my life, being raised here in New York, born and raised in New York, I didn't know nothing about bomba. But who did? Right? There was elders out there doing bomba forever. But I didn't know, and many other New Yorkers did not know. Right? So what happens? Somehow, I got, exposed. And I remember Yerba Buena being this youth organization, right? Playing this music. And all of a sudden, I get to see it. And without those details, and mind you, I have to say this, here I am first seeing this bomba at this time in my age, in my 40s, never been to Puerto Rico, never understood anything on the island. But now when I heard bomba, because before that already, I have danced salsa, I danced the hustle, I was, before hip hop became hip hop, I was there, there's so many different styles of music that I jammed to, went to the club and danced to, but none of that.
They're taking it way back,
Yes,
Just got flashbacks.
yes. But when bomba came to me, it was like, wait a minute, this is Puerto Rico. I felt it.
Yeah.
Without it being in the island, I'm saying, oh my God, there's something about this music that really talks to me. Understand it. I didn't understand because there was no book for this, right? And so I look at, when we see what bomba is today, for me, it's like that blade of grass growing through the sidewalks. That sometimes, when it comes to nature, you can't stop nature. Bomba is part of the Boricua nature. It is. It's part of our souls, which is you can't take it away. You can't, it's going to come out sooner or later. Something's going to happen. And that's how bomba talks to us.
Para ti ha sido, desde que te conozco, un estilo de vida y eres un gestor cultural, al punto, ¿verdad?, que has roto ciertos paradigmas, estás enseñando bomba en la Universidad de Puerto Rico con créditos. Eso antes, hace 20 años, eso no se veía. ¿Cuál es la visión de futuro que tú tienes para todo esto que hemos estado comentando? ¿Cuál es el próximo paso? ¿Hacia dónde tú quieres llegar y que todos nuestros amigos aquí en Puerto Rico, en la diáspora, en Estados Unidos, a nivel mundial, o sea, cuál es tu visión de futuro?
Nuestro sueño es que se reconozca nuestra música y nuestras expresiones culturales con el valor que tienen, su importancia, su trascendencia y su ancestralidad.
Amén.
Amén.
dije. Was that not phenomenal? My hope for you in watching this documentary is twofold. First, that watching it has truly strengthened your pride in our Black ancestry. And second, to really deepen your commitment to educate future generations of Puerto Ricans on the beauty, the history, and legacy of Bomba. We as a people cannot rely on the education system to teach our children their history as Puerto Ricans. And honestly, I seriously cannot wait to have a little watch party with my kids and my husband at home. And I hope that you'll share it with your familia as well. Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed this wonderful exploration of the rich and historical influence of Bomba in the Puerto Rican experience, both on the island and in the diaspora. I know that I did. We also hope that you've been encouraged to embrace the brain health aspects of music into your own life. At AARP, we believe that fun and learning go hand in hand, so we invite you to stay connected with us. To connect with AARP where you live and find other fun virtual programming, please visit aarp.org/near you or en español aarp.org/cerca de ti. Finally, we also encourage you to please respond to the survey that you'll get shortly after this event. Conéctate con nosotros y hasta pronto.